afternoon, everyone. I'm Mohammed Furqan, and today I'm here to discuss few things about discourse analysis. So, first, I'm going to tell you today's presentation's agenda. So, in this presentation, I aim at these few points that I have written here. First of all, we have discourse and its analysis. Like, first, I'll be taking you through discourse, what is discourse actually, and then its analysis, how to evaluate it, how to analyze it. Then, interpreting discourse. How can we interpret a discourse better? Interpret means understand. When we are reading a book, either it's fiction or non-fiction, regardless, regardless of its genre, we need to delve into its basics and fundamentals. This is how we can evaluate and interpret the text. What is writer's intention and what is reader's intention to understand it. So we need to concentrate on both of these things. Then we have the cooperative principle, hedges and implicature, schemas and script. The last two, both of these terms are, I'll discuss them later on when we come to it. So first I have added an activity and break the ice. It's an ice breaking activity. Ice breaking means that when a presentation or some meeting or some conference is started, so everyone is cool and calm. So to make them motivated and inspired and to get them their involvement in the within the presentation. So that is an idiom invented by Shakespeare. Break the ice means someone should speak. So I have added this activity. Guess the gesture. What's the underlying message? So here would be few gestures would be displayed in front of you, and you will be guessing them. You will be conjecturing them what they actually mean. Yes. First one is smile. Guess it. You will be raising your hands, and then I'll point out who will answer this. Smiling, like we all smile every day, multiple times. So smiling gesture, what does it convey to the next person? Quite a simple one.
A pleasant mood.
A pleasant mood. Happiness. Happiness. Any other?
Any sort of comic player.
Yeah, good. Yeah, it's right. Next. So friendliness and approachability. Well, all these opinions are right. Next. Next we have cross downs. When someone stands in front of you in cross downs, so what does it mean?
Attentive.
Attentive.
Yeah.
Okay. Irritation.
Angry.
Anger.
Some
Yes, anyone else? Resistance or closure. It means that something is closed. Like if a shopkeeper is standing in this way, it means that the shop is closed now, but their ending hours, ending minutes are approaching. Resistance, like they don't want to talk to you, they cross their arms.
But you also cross your arm.
Yeah, so I'm showing this expression. Okay, so you need to understand the speaker's intention as well. Next, we have thumbs up.
Good luck.
Good luck.
achievement.
Yes.
Motivate.
Yeah,
Yeah.
right. Yes. Approval, agreement, or appreciation. When someone is approving something or showing agreement, like someone is agreeing with you, or someone is going to appreciate you, so in that time we now we do thumbs up. Next.
Handshake.
Next we have handshake. Yes. Yes. Right.
Deal.
Yeah. Deal.
Deal. Some. Taking some.
Greeting, agreement, or farewell. When you are going to meet someone, it's the commencement of the meeting, it's the starting of the meeting, or either it's ending of the meeting. So we do handshake. Uh, yeah. Next we have shrugging. Shrugging means when you like this, the movement of shoulders, shrugging.
Not sure. Very easy.
Yeah, shrugging एक eyebrows की भी होती है. I think you are talking about that. That is also called this one. But this shrugging is this, like this.
I don't care.
Very easy.
Yeah,
Don't
it
care. I
could be.
don't care.
Yeah, it could be one of the opinions. Any other guesses?
That's right.
No. मुझे क्या पता?
But I don't.
Indifference or uncertainty,
Yeah.
like I'm not sure.
Yes.
No.
People say I'm not sure what.
Uncertain.
Like Elon Musk is here and he's saying that I'm not sure AI will do what AI will do in future. So he's shrugging his shoulders. Next, yeah, leaning forward. When someone is bowing down, leaning forward, jhuk raha hai. Like here is a teacher in the classroom and he's leaning to the students, leaning forward. So what does this mean? Just check. Very good. He's paying attention to that specific area.
Like maybe
Yes.
student text or book.
Right. Right. So its answer is engagement and interest. Like you are fully engaged and showing interest in that area. You are quite right. Next. Okay. So that was all for ice breaking activity. Here now we are going to formally start our presentation. So first I'll be telling you what is discourse. So discourse is actually the text or the conversation in its actual meanings. I have this is etymology. That discourse is derived from a Latin word discursus, and discursus means conversation. Discursus means it's a Latin word which means conversation. So conversation can be written as well as spoken. When people write books, they try to communicate with you. That is also a type of conversation. And conversation, daily life conversation, when teachers are teaching you, when you are answering your teachers, or when there is a conversation between two friends. So, like a lot of conversation, their settings can be changed. So, this is language in use. First point is language that we use in daily life. Okay. So, linguists usually divide language into two types. One is formal, and the other one is informal. Formal is in formal setting, like which is just in books, okay, very sophisticated and formal with punctuation marks and commas and full stops and periods. But the language that we use in informal way in daily life, we are not using all of these grammatical structures. We are not careful about them. So the language that the common people are using in their daily lives, that is called language in use. So to interpret and to evaluate that language is actually discourse analysis, and that language itself is discourse. Next we have verbal interchange of ideas. So when two people are having a communication, so they are having an exchange of ideas. Someone is speaking and the other is listening, and then the next is speaking and the first person is listening. So there is an exchange of information and ideas. So this is discourse, and then extended expression of thought on a subject. Like it could be long, extended, okay, on any subject, on any topic. It could be extended on any thought. Okay, it is actually the first is thought is the primary process in your head, in your cognition, and then it turns out to be a conversation that you utter from your mouth. Next. Yeah, so now we have types of discourse. So generally we have only two types of discourse: written discourse and spoken discourse. First one is written. In written, we have study of written texts such as essays, news, political speeches, etc. Like all the books, newspaper, magazines, children magazine, literary magazine, fashion magazines, movie magazines. So all these types of the written text, okay, newspapers and fiction, non-fiction books of every genre, they are included in written text, right? And then we have spoken discourse. There is a study of conversations, dialogues, and speeches. Everything that we speak is spoken discourse. Okay, it could be a political speech, it could be a dialogue, a monologue of Shakespearean drama, or any speech of any person, or any coffee table conversation between two people. So Next, we have written is monologic in nature. Written is most of the times, not this is, it's not that 100% it's confirmed, but monologic, yeah, monologic in nature. Like only one person is speaking. Even if you are writing, reading a fiction book or a non-fiction book, so there is only one writer who is conveying his ideas to you. So it is only the conversation of a one person who is active and the reader is passive. But in spoken discourse, it is dialogic in nature, and even sometimes more than two people are having a conversation. Okay, so multi-logic in nature as well. Some spoken discourse is usually between two people or more than two. Then written discourse is usually created by one person. Books, newspapers are these type of written discourses. They are usually initiated by one person. They are written by only one writer is there. It's singular. But when it comes to spoken discourse, so spoken is usually created by two or more people. Okay, these are quite a simple differences. I think you are
Yes,
getting
yes,
all
yes.
of these. Next, written is quite planned. Okay, it's scripted first in the head. First, it is well arranged, then over notebooks and papers and okay in directories. First, writer arranges its books that this should be the preface and this should be the first chapter. Then it's division into chapters and subchapters and then topics and then the scenes and dialogue. So there is a proper arrangement a writer does before writing a book. But in spoken, we are not thinking what we are going to speak. Okay, so speaking is quite an unplanned process, while writing is a planned, organized, and scripted process. That's why it is spontaneous, like the flowing river. It's like चश्मा होता है ना तो अचानक से it is gushing from a stone. So speaking is very same like that. Next, in written discourse, it stays in record. Okay, it's like quite a contradictory one. Like in most right now we have YouTube and social media, so obviously our spoken discourse is always is also in record. It is also recorded. The speeches made by the political leaders or the religious scholars, so they are also going to be recorded. So spoken is also somehow recorded, but written discourse has its own value in recorded form, written form. Okay, spoken, some people may say that we were just speaking and we just uttered that thing by just slip of the tongue. But in written discourse, someone can't say that I just wrote it by my mind was roaming somewhere else. Okay, so this is the difference. Next, these are the few of the differences. And last, we have dense and intricate grammatical structure. In written discourse, the grammatical structure of the sentence is quite dense, intricate, and ambiguous. You may have read different books. So the people who are writing books, their grammatical structure of the sentences, it's quite complex and perplexed to understand. While in written, spoken language we don't use. Even when you listen to the interviews of the famous writers, okay, when they come to writing, so they write quite complex sentence, complicated structure. You're just going in a very smooth flow. So even you listen to their interviews available over there on YouTube. So they are just uttering quite a simple sentences. Their grammatical structure isn't ambiguous, or there isn't anything there which would be tormenting or difficult to understand. But in written discourse, okay, even last time I was listening to a J.K. Rowling's interview, Harry Potter's writer. So in written discourse, she writes quite a vivid and vivacious language, but in speaking, she was quite normal and everything uttered by her was comprehensible. Next, so straightforward structure of phrases and sentences in spoken. Strong diction, vocabulary is quite strong in written discourse because it is well planned. Even some writers are there who are saying that we are writing the first story first time, and then we are again opening our notebooks, and then we are putting different synonyms to make our book look more heavy. Okay, but in spoken discourse, lexical subtlety is there. People are using quite a common words. Next. So that was all the difference between spoken and written discourse. Now we have now discourse is clear.
Yes.
Yes.
Now it's analysis. So examination of language, content, and sometimes themes, supervision of structure of language. This is called discourse analysis. When you are examining the language, okay, it is related to stylistics as well, because stylistics is also branch of linguistics, and discourse analysis is its sub branch, subtype. Okay, like when you are reading different types of writers and different genres of different writers, so you are going through and you are checking their writing style. So that is going to be included in discourse analysis, because you are examining the language, content, and sometimes themes. First, you are evaluating its language. Shakespeare's language is quite difficult. Wordsworth's language is quite easy. So this is their style. Okay. Then we are going to check their grammatical structure. What type of structure is used by Shakespeare, and what type of structure is used by rest of the writers and poets. So then we check content. The content presented by them, either it's right or wrong, because sometimes or often are going to check its theme as well. Themes are usually discussed in literature, but sometimes they are discussed in discourse analysis as well, because the theme is totally dependent on language, the way you present it. It's not what you speak, it's about how you speak and how you write that language. Okay, so there are like quite a contradictory things about Shakespeare, that he was anti-women. He has written most of the things against women, like Hamlet and Othello, plays like things. So discourse analysts say it is entirely dependent on his language. The language he has used can be molded in some better way. Okay, so discourse analysis, the structure of language and grammar plays a pivotal and significant role in conveying the theme and message to the reader. Maybe I'm using the same words and you are using the same words, but my tone and my facial expressions can convey the quite opposite meaning to that of yours. So grammatical structures, the word I opt for, my diction, my vocabulary, these all things are included in discourse.
So maybe the syntactical structure that is important.
Yes.
Like
Syntactic.
if you are just looking at from the perspective of grammatical,
Yes.
intricacies, so
Yes.
obviously syntactic structure.
Syntactic structure.
So Shakespearean syntactic structure is different from rest of his
Yes.
contemporaries.
Yes.
So recently you have introduced a very good activity initially, like I break the ice.
Yes.
How can you, explain that in connection with this discourse, particularly all those activities that we have initially displayed and discussed?
In that activity, there were few
Are
gestures.
they have something to do with the discourse or not? They are
Yes.
just we need to link all those activities with the discourse.
Yes. Cultural context is also there. Then
Okay, move
gestures themselves are.
Yes, move back to the first activity. Break the ice, the very first activity.
Move back. Yusuf. Because sir, it's I have heard you saying this thing
This is the first
so many
activity.
times, that gesture, a single gesture can convey better than long speeches.
So mean all these activities, activity in a sense mean particular actions.
Yes.
Action of smiling, then
Yes.
shrugging. So all these are actually the different discourses.
Discourses.
Different messages are there,
Yes.
meanings are there.
Yes.
Once you have a look at the picture and even you see these two kids that they are smiling, so obviously it communicates messages.
Yes. That I'm approachable.
And interpretation is like it depends upon the
Yes.
context.
Yes.
In which situation that they are standing right now. Domestic situation, maybe within a classroom.
Yes.
So context is important. So all break the ice in a sense mean there's a complete silence before. One was there and the entire class was waiting. Now he's supposed to take start. And then the ice breaking activity means just to break the silence.
Yes.
The few pictures are there. This is a brainstorming activity.
Yes. Brainstorm.
Once you are just planning, doing the lesson planning,
Yes.
brainstorming means your mind is just
Collecting
roaming
all the
around and
thoughts.
then you just come to that particular. Prior to announcing the subject
Yeah.
of your presentation, you are giving them some food for thought. I will work on this and that. Then you need to connect that particular activity with your subject prior to announcing it. Once you announce the topic, today my topic is discourse and discourse analysis. So all these visuals have something to do with the discourse.
Right.
Whether it's a written discourse and then even
Spoken.
you see spoken the way you are performing, that is the speech, that is the spoken discourse. Okay?
Exactly.
So just move on now. And
Right.
you must ask questions, that these are the relevant questions.
Yes.
Otherwise, no need to just sit silently, raise questions.
Yes, if there is any question, you may raise your hand. You may raise any
Different
question.
expressions are there, non-verbal gestures are there, they are part of the discourse. And then he has discussed beautifully the different types of discourse, written discourse and spoken discourse, how they are different from each other. One is the monologic, other is dialogue. Main dialogue is there.
Yes.
When two or more people are just interacting with each other. So then next is the discourse analysis. So now gradually moving to the next topic. What is discourse analysis? So continue.
It's explained. Yes. Now next we have this way of looking at language is based on four assumptions. Which way? The way I have just
Scroll back to the previous slide. We will discuss the discourse analysis. Yes. What is the examination of language?
yes. What is examination of language? I have just explained you very holistically.
Anyone from class, you may also add something.
I have explained it to you comprehensively.
Construction of language, construction of the text,
Okay.
Construction of language. Syntactical structure.
syntactic.
Yes.
Okay.
And any other
Lexical choices.
lexical choices? Very good.
There are coherent and coherence.
Yes. Coherent and cohesion.
Examination of the language and content,
Yes.
thematic content, themes.
There are literal meanings,
Literal meaning, deep meaning,
hidden meaning,
hidden meaning.
Literary terms.
Yeah. Literary
devices,
terms.
literary devices.
Literary devices, I don't think so. They should be discussed.
You may quote, yesterday we discussed Fairclough 3D model,
Yes.
three-dimensional model. According to Fairclough, that this CDA, critical discourse analysis, is itself a discourse analysis
Yes.
at three levels. The first one is the description. Description of the last one describing the text. The second layer is the interpretation.
Interpretation.
Yes, once you are examining the language, that examination of the language is not just you are taking that particular word in a sense of examination, you are sitting in examination. Here you are examining the language from its syntactical perspective,
Yes.
semantical, pragmatical, argumentative.
You for looking at linguistics, for looking at a text. So now, on the basis of all those rules and principles, how they help us while evaluating our text. So I have assembled here four rules. Okay, four ways that how can we look at language. First one is
When you are examining the language,
yes,
so you need to keep in mind these four basic
principles.
principles or four assumptions are there. Okay, discuss it.
First assumption is language is ambiguous. What things mean is never absolutely clear. Here comes the stylistics. Here is the style. Style of writer is concerned in this first assumption. That language is quite intricate, ambiguous, and unclear. It's vague. Okay? Writer जो भी लिखता है तो वो it's not like so easy to interpret language. Like different classical authors are there, poets are there, so they write quite a complex and perplex language. It's
Just
quite
keep it in mind that you are discussing from the perspective of discourse analysis.
yes,
Once you say the language that is there, it is part of discourse, whether it's a written one or
Spoken.
spoken. So discourse is a fuzzy term. It's also ambiguous.
yes,
Although we say text and talk in a context, but when it comes to defining the discourse, there are multiple definitions. Clear? So we not only the verbal, side of the language is sufficient to describe the discourse. The way initially some activities are there, the gestures, the cues, and then non-verbal signs and symbols, they are also part of the discourse. Yeah? And even you can say that the vocals, the tonal qualities, clear, expressions, sound qualities, all these are related to discourse. Mean a man that having a shriek voice, shrilly voice, and people are making him a laughing stock. For what? Because her voice is just related to the opposite gender. So this is how sometimes we are making that person, although he has a well, strongly built personality, but when it comes to the song, only that tonal quality is undermining. We are not just having some sort of hatred against the opposite gender, but they are just trying to make him an officer in our society. So that this is how the discourse, it has to do with the discourse. Our attitudes, the way we are behaving with each other. So all that is comes under the evaluation of discourse. So once we are saying language is ambiguous mean obviously discourse.
Spoken discourse, written discourse, gestures. So these all things, facial expressions, even they are blinking and winking of eyes, are shrugging of shoulders, shrugging of eyebrows, okay, are pressing of lips, when we press lips into each other. So they all are conveying more than long speeches. So they all are included in discourse. Discourse is itself an umbrella term. Okay? So
So
language.
if you are using language to define those expressions, sometimes you are having shortage of words, even proper words to communicate the feelings. Clear? So this is how you say language is ambiguous.
Mean is never absolutely clear.
Now you see the next sentence, it's clarified. What actually you mean, the things mean, is not never absolutely clear.
Second one is language is always in the world. Language lives in the world because it is spoken in the by the people who are living in this world. Language is a alive thing. It's a lively thing. It's a vivid and vibrant thing. So that is what language means is always matter of where and when it is used. Where and when means context. Language is always dependent on context. If you remove the context, there is nothing in language. You can mold the meaning to any other way. So context is the fundamental and primary thing to understand a text. Either it is spoken or written, or even if it is just a gesture, because some gestures.
What is the actual definition of context? I have explained it. The way when I actually have
Context.
context.
Context is actually, it has something to do.
Whether it's an objective term or subjective.
It's a subjective term.
Subjective term.
Yes. It's a subjective term and it has something to do with background knowledge. Okay. So the background knowledge, it plays a very important role in
Okay,
understanding
it
the
is lying
situation.
outside there, context is lying outside there, the circumstances or some mean internally preserved in your condition.
It is outside in circumstances.
You can actually rethink and then answer my question. Whether it is the context is there outside in the posture, in the surrounding, in the area of your without outside the text, you can say. I have shared a lecture of Van Dyke with you almost almost 2 hours. So context is there in his lecture. The way he's just simply mentioning context is
In cognition.
not there outside in the how it is the subjective mental model or definition of that particular
Yes, scenario.
situation. And this is how almost 27 students are there. They have their own context
Yes.
because their life experiences are different. Their level of reading is, you can say, that is different. Their experiences to take different objects are different. Maybe he's quoting an example of a car. For someone, just the sound of the car is. The other one, maybe he's a driver, he knows how to actually change the oil of the car and its wheel, and then how to drive that car. So his perception is totally different from the one who is
Yes.
simply having the sense of the
Yes.
sound of the car. Maybe it's a vehicle just used for driving. So his perception and the perception of the other person is totally. So context is
Mental model. It's in cognition.
subjective mental model.
It's a subjective mental. Like if I say a word cloud, so what's the very first thing that will hit your mind?
Okay.
If I say the word cloud, cloud,
Yes,
weather,
outside. That is cloudy.
cloudy weather, or just I'm saying weather or cloud. So what's the very first thing that comes to your mind?
Clouds.
He said rain. You are saying just clouds.
No black.
She is saying just thundering of clouds. So this is how context works. For you, it's something else. For you, it's quite opposite. And for you, it's quite
When different
yeah,
characteristics and
different
features are there,
Yes.
and you are connected with one feature that is more appealing to you and you are trying to describe in that context. Where this is actually the definition of the context. Okay, continue.
So where and when it is used, a particular text, where it is used, which place, in which region, because language is variant. It varies from person to person and then place to place. In this region, some things are acceptable, few things, but in other regions, in other territories, they are quite unacceptable. So, and vice versa
Iman, come here also.
is this. Okay, so some few things are acceptable in our culture, but they are unacceptable in other cultures, and vice versa. And even when it is used, few things are unacceptable in past, but now they are acceptable. So time is also important, and then place is also important while understanding a written or spoken text. The third assumption is the way we use language is inseparable from who we are and the different social groups to which we belong. Are is the basic term. Okay. So the writer or the speaker